On the night of October 8, 1871, a single flame flickered inside a small wooden barn in Chicago. By morning, one of America's fastest-growing cities no longer existed. Fueled by wind, drought, and a city built almost entirely of wood, the fire would burn for nearly 2 days, killing hundreds, leaving over 100,000 people homeless, and turning miles of streets into ash. This is not just the story of a fire. It's the story of how a city was erased, and why its destruction changed the way the modern world was built. On the evening of October 8, 1871, Chicago was settling into another ordinary night. The city was young, ambitious, and growing faster than almost any place in America. Wooden homes lined wooden streets. Wooden sidewalks creaked beneath hurried footsteps. Even the rooftops above were framed in timber. Chicago was prosperity built on pine and hope, beautiful, booming, and dangerously fragile. That night, the air was dry. A long summer drought had left the city parched, and a warm wind blew steadily from the southwest. Few realized how deadly those conditions would soon become. At around 8:30 p.m., a small fire broke out in a barn behind a modest home on Dakeven Street, owned by Irish immigrants Patrick and Catherine O'Leary. What happened next would become legend. For decades, stories claimed a cow kicked over a lantern, igniting the hay. But the truth is more uncertain. No one ever proved exactly how the fire started. What mattered wasn't the spark, it was what the city was made of. Flames climbed quickly, licking up dry wood and leaping from structure to structure. Neighbors rushed to help, but the fire grew faster than buckets could empty. The Chicago Fire Department was already exhausted from battling a large blaze the night before, and a critical mistake sent firefighters to the wrong address. By the time help arrived, the fire had found its fuel. The wind began to howl. As night fell, the flames surged north and east, feeding on block after block. Burning debris lifted into the air like fiery snow, landing on rooftops streets away. The fire jumped fences, alleys, and then something no one thought possible. It leapt the Chicago River. The river, polluted with industrial waste and debris, burned just like the city around it. Panic spread as fast as the flames. Families fled into the streets, carrying children, heirlooms, whatever they could grab in seconds. Horses screamed. Church bells rang warnings that no one could outrun. Brick buildings collapsed as wooden interiors ignited from within. The fire burned so hot that glass melted, iron warped, and stone cracked under the heat. By dawn on October 9th, Chicago was no longer recognizable. Entire neighborhoods had vanished. Businesses that once symbolized opportunity were reduced to smoking ruins. The city's waterworks burned, cutting off pressure to firefighters when they needed it most. For hours it felt like days. The fire ruled unchecked, carving a path of destruction over 3 square miles. When rain finally began to fall on the morning of October 10th, it was as if the sky itself had come to mourn. The flames weakened. Firefighters regained control, and slowly, mercifully, the inferno died. What remained was devastation. An estimated 300 people were dead, though many believe the true number was higher. More than 100,000 residents, nearly 1/3 of the city, were homeless. Over 17,000 buildings lay in ruins. The financial damage totaled more than $200 million, a staggering sum for the time. Chicago was silent in a way it had never been before. Refugees camped along the lakefront and in nearby towns. Aid poured in from across the nation and even from overseas. For a brief moment, the city teetered on chaos. Looting broke out, and soldiers were called in to maintain order. But something remarkable happened amid the ashes. Chicago refused to die. Almost immediately, rebuilding began. Architects, laborers, and entrepreneurs poured into the ruins. New laws banned wooden construction in the city center. Brick, stone, and steel replaced pine and planks. Fire safety codes were rewritten, and modern urban planning took shape. Out of tragedy came innovation. Within a decade, Chicago was rising faster than ever. Engineers like William LeBaron, Jenny pioneered steel frame construction. Architects such as Louis Sullivan helped define a bold new skyline. The city that burned became the birthplace of the skyscraper, forever changing how cities around the world would be built. By the end of the 19th century, Chicago stood not as a cautionary tale but as a symbol of resilience. The Great Chicago Fire destroyed a city, but it also forged one. It exposed the dangers of unchecked growth, yet proved the power of collective rebuilding. From a single spark in a humble barn came a transformation that reshaped urban America. Chicago rose from the ashes, stronger, smarter, and determined to never burn the same way again. And even today, as steel towers gleam above the streets, the fire's legacy still flickers beneath the city's foundations, a reminder that from devastation can come extraordinary rebirth. Today, when you walk through Chicago's towering skyline, when you see steel and stone reaching toward the sky, you're standing on ground shaped by fire. The Great Chicago Fire wasn't just a disaster, it was a turning point. A moment when a city was forced to choose between collapse and reinvention and chose to rise. If you found this story compelling, you'll want to see what comes next. History is full of moments just like this, events that nearly destroyed civilizations, yet ended up defining them. Subscribe for more powerful stories of forgotten disasters, legendary battles, and turning points that reshaped the world. Like this video if you enjoy immersive historical storytelling. It helps this channel grow and brings more stories like this to you. And leave a comment below. What other moment in history should we explore next? Thanks for watching.